Noticia. Pues una buena noticia es hablar con nuestro siguiente invitado, el doctor Craig Wright. Él es científico informático, empresario, inventor, de origen australiano, con PhD en Ciencias de la Computación y Economía de la Universidad Charles Sturt, doctor en Teología de la United Theological College, recibido en el año 2003. Tiene maestría en Estadística, tiene maestría en Derecho Comercial Internacional. Es un informático que además está haciendo una afirmación que por supuesto a todos nos deja sorprendidos. Él dice ser Satoshi Nakamoto, el hombre que habría creado en el año 2008 al Bitcoin. Bajo ese nombre, en aquel octubre de 2008, se publicó el documento que establecía cómo iba a funcionar esa moneda digital que hoy por hoy sigue siendo el furor en los mercados. Grace, ¿puede usted saludar al doctor Craig Wright y hacerle la primera pregunta?
Dr. Craig Wright, welcome to W Radio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Bueno, Ana, la primera pregunta que le quisiera hacer al señor Wright es por qué no ha podido proporcionar una prueba criptográfica de que es Satoshi Nakamoto, firmando, por ejemplo, un mensaje en el blockchain.
Mr. Wright, we want to begin by asking you, why have you not been able to provide cryptographic proof that you are Satoshi Nakamoto? For example, I don't know, signing a message on the blockchain.
There's no such thing. The problem people get is they're listening to all these anarchists who tell you that Bitcoin is designed as a cryptocurrency. It's not. If you read my white paper, it says identity is firewalled from the chain. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The same way that if you own a share certificate and you trade it and the ticker records the trade, and that's not public, the share certificate still records all of the owners and the transfers. So the problem is you have a lot of people trying to promote this false idea of Bitcoin because they want it to be like eCash. They want it to be a cryptocurrency, but it's not. It's digital cash, and it's designed not to work that way. So to have a signature, you first of all need identity, and then you can use the signature. You can't do it the other way around. It's a one-way function.
Bueno, nos dice que el Bitcoin está, por supuesto, diseñado como una criptomoneda, tiene una identidad del que lo compra encriptada. Eso quiere decir que no exista la persona detrás, sino que la transacción no es pública, es una transacción privada. Y nos dice que hay mucha gente tratando de promover que se haga de una manera distinta, pero es simplemente dinero digital diseñado para funcionar de esa manera, de una manera privada y no pública.
Doctor Wright, usted tuvo esta semana una victoria muy importante en la Corte de la Florida. Usted ha quedado en poder de 1.1 millones de Bitcoin, eso es aproximadamente unos 50.000 millones de dólares. ¿Por qué cree usted que si la Corte de la Florida le da a usted ese título de Satoshi Nakamoto, por qué la comunidad de las criptomonedas alrededor del mundo aún no lo ve usted como ese creador oficial?
Mr. Wright, this week you had a very important win in the Court of Miami. To one extent, we could interpret this judging as if the court accepts that you are Satoshi Nakamoto. Of course, this could always be controversial. But why do you think the Court of Miami is able to say, okay, you are Mr. Nakamoto, but the cryptocurrency around the world, the industry around the world is not able to give you that name, is not able to accept or to say, yes, you are Satoshi?
Some people do. Now, the problem that people are addressing is, again, they want it to be anarchist. Bitcoin was never designed to be this system outside of law or outside of control. It doesn't act that way. Bitcoin is not censorship resistant the way that people say, where government can't interact and take money. It's about a digital cash system. It's not about a system that allows drug dealers and child pornographers to get away with transferring money illegally. That's completely wrong. Now, there is a lot of money in the drug industry that wants Bitcoin to be something different. It's not. Bitcoin is a public ledger. A blockchain is a public ledger that everyone can see. Now, where people sit there going, you need to sign, well, you don't. Identity is something that has been effectively proven for 2,000 years in courts, not with cryptographic keys. That's an argument like saying, if you steal my house key, you own my house. You don't. It's the wrong way around. Identity is something built into the person. Possession of a key is mere possession. They're not the same thing. And I don't care whether people like it. I didn't invent Bitcoin to be a cryptocurrency, and I'm not going to allow it to be.
Bueno, nos dice que algunos piensan que el problema está con el control de la criptomoneda. Nos dice que simplemente ellos no lo diseñaron para estar por fuera de la ley o del control de las autoridades. Es un sistema simplemente digital y no se creó para permitir esas transacciones ilegales. Digamos, de cierta forma, el blockchain es un activo que está ahí, tangible. Entonces, la identidad es algo simplemente de la persona y que simplemente pues está oculto dentro del Bitcoin. Y yo le quisiera preguntar, Ana, ¿por qué presenta el resultado del reciente caso judicial como una gran victoria cuando ahora le debe a la familia Clayman $100 millones?
Why do you believe that this judging of the Miami court on Monday, in terms of they saying, you know what, you don't have, Mr. Clayman does not have 50% of all your bitcoins. Why would you say that the $100 million that you have to give them is a triumph?
Well, it's not fully to them. W&K is partly owned by my ex-wife. It's partly owned by my current wife. Excuse me. The percentage is somewhere between 20 and 33% that needs to be adjudicated. There's a court case for that already. So the reality here is an argument over a conversion which is not a theft as people put, but effectively the same as if Alice leaves her goods in Bob's warehouse and Bob's warehouse burns down, then Bob is responsible in conversion for Alice. The same sort of thing. Because the company failed, I didn't sort of make sure something happened after Dave died. The court saying that I should have put more effort into it. Now, the issue there is fine. I didn't think it was that big a deal, but $100 million, if that's the requirement, then the reality is after all of this fight, he's probably getting 25 after tax and other costs, not much at all. So it seems a bit of a silly thing for them to do. The real thing here is the court has decided and looked at all the evidence and all of the claims and allegations and has come up with a verdict saying that there was no partnership. I was the only person who created it. Yes, I admit, lots of people have helped me throughout the development of Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean they own part of my invention. So all that's been vindicated.
Bueno, nos dice que la realidad acá es que la Corte ha decidido mirar la evidencia, los argumentos y el veredicto al final dice que no eran socios del señor David Clayman. Entonces eso es una gran ganancia para él porque dice que a pesar de que muchas personas trabajaron junto a él, no todos hacen parte de su invención. Y si él va a pagar los $100 millones, Ana, ¿cómo planea hacerlo?
Grace, pero discúlpeme, repítame por favor.
Sí, quisiera preguntarle si esos $100 millones él planea pagarlos y cómo lo hará, de dónde sacará ese dinero.
In terms of this $100 million, how do you plan to pay for it? I mean, are you planning to pay it, and how will you pay for it?
I'll pay for it, but that hasn't been decided yet. The enforcement will have to come down after time. That will, the ownership of the company needs to be decided. There's a court case on that. So there's a long time before that becomes an issue. The total assets I have through my trust in companies exceed about $60 billion at the moment. So it's not really an issue. It's just one that the court needs to sort out.
Bueno, nos dice que él lo pagará, pero eso simplemente no se ha decidido. Faltan otras instancias para definir quién es el dueño de la compañía, por ejemplo. Entonces, realmente, para él, cree que no es un problema. Y Ana, también quisiera saber por qué está demandando a los desarrolladores de Bitcoins.
Can you explain to us why is it that you're suing the Bitcoin developers?
It's not so much I'm suing the Bitcoin developers. What I'm trying to do is get them to take the legal mandate that they have and to enforce under the rules of a development team. So back in 2005, U.S. Supreme Court in MGM versus Grokster, and later a case, the U.S. government versus LimeWire, decided that peer-to-peer developers are responsible for the products that they manage. Now, this is argued by these people who want to be anarchists, that there are no developer rights, rules, etc. But the reality is that's not correct. Bitcoin is not encrypted. Bitcoin is a public ledger. All these lies about Bitcoin need to end. So what I'm going to do is ensure that the courts, that government, that law enforcement understand that Bitcoin can be seized. It can be frozen and seized. If you have drug money, money laundering, or other money in Bitcoin, then the last thing you want to do is leave it there because, trust me, it's not going to survive. Anything left in Bitcoin from illegal activities is just going to be grabbed. It is the simplest system to take money out of in that way.
Él lo que trata de hacer es tomar ese mandato legal que tienen los desarrolladores de Bitcoin. Nos dice que en 2005 se decidió que esos desarrolladores de Bitcoin son responsables de lo que se desarrolla ahí, y nos dice que lo que quiere desmentir básicamente es que el Bitcoin no está encriptado y todas esas mentiras que hay alrededor del Bitcoin, y que la corte y el gobierno entiendan que el Bitcoin puede ser congelado, y nos dice que además debe ser pues una persona, por ejemplo, que quiere lavar dinero por el Bitcoin, lo último que quiere hacer o debe hacer es dejarlo ahí, porque no va a sobrevivir simplemente ese dinero.
Dr. Wright, hemos visto que en algunos momentos en el 2010 el Bitcoin se ha utilizado para compra de drogas, armas, tráfico ilegal de menores, etcétera. Si es usted realmente Satoshi Nakamoto, ¿se arrepiente usted de haber manejado las cosas como se han manejado con respecto a su moneda?
As you know, Mr. Wright, close to 2010, we have seen that Bitcoin has been used to buy drugs, for trading of minors, many illegal activities. If you are really Satoshi Nakamoto, to an extent, do you regret creating Bitcoin or allowing it to work the way that it does and that it has been used for these illicit activities?
Very much so. I regret the entire use of my protocol for drugs and other illicit activities. But that's what I've been working for and fighting to get changed. So in the next little while, and I'll say a little while, people are going to start realizing that it is not something that you want to have as a drug coin. In the next year, we're going to start seeing people's Bitcoin seized under court order. Not because they give up keys, it's just going to be removed from them. There'll be a court order. It will take all of the Bitcoin that can be traced, and Bitcoin's completely traceable. In the same way that the police trace money now, except there'll be no hiding, no inability to mix and get away with it. Even put it through mixers, everyone going through a mixer is complicit and will lose money. So it's taken some time to get to this point, but we're going to start seeing the reality of how this works, which is drug money is going to start disappearing. The police will just take it.
Él se arrepiente, obviamente, de cualquier uso ilegal que se le dé al Bitcoin. Nos dice que pues lo que va a pasar posteriormente es que las personas que están usando el Bitcoin con este propósito se van a dar cuenta que no es positivo, que no se debe usar con con dinero ilícito del narcotráfico, por ejemplo, porque eventualmente una corte se va a dar cuenta que todo ese dinero se le va a hacer seguimiento como simplemente se le hace el seguimiento al dinero actual y pues van a perder dinero. Entonces simplemente nos dice que eso en el futuro va a cambiar y se va a poder, digamos, hacerle seguimiento a ese dinero ilícito y esas personas que lo hagan van a perder el dinero.
Ana, preguntémosle a nuestro invitado quién lo bautizó o de dónde sacó el nombre Satoshi Nakamoto.
Tell us, where did you get the name of Satoshi Nakamoto?
So Satoshi Nakamoto was an amalgam between a few different things. Partly because House Morgan, Satoshi, partly because of other silly things. But Tomokazu Nakamoto was a early philosopher and economic writer in the Tokugawa period of Japan. Basically analogous to a Japanese concept of an Adam Smith. So that was fairly much the origins.
Nos dice que Satoshi Nakamoto era un filósofo japonés, un experto económico, y de ahí sacó el nombre. Y quisiera preguntarle ahora a Ana qué piensa de la versión del Bitcoin que se llama Bitcoin SB.
What is your opinion about the version of Bitcoin that is called Bitcoin SB?
It's the only real version of Bitcoin. BTC is a fork of Bitcoin. When I released Bitcoin, I said that the protocol was set in stone. So people are going to start realizing what that means later this year. Taproot, for instance, uses one of my early patents. This is the problem with a lot of these anarchist developers. They think that they don't need to have law or that code is law. They neglect the writings of like law professor Timothy Wu, who demonstrated that code is law is a false premise. So you're going to find out later this year that BTC, this thing that they're creating like Bitcoin, isn't Bitcoin at all.
Well, Mr. Dr. Craig Wright, thank you so much for your time in W Radio. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Bueno, simplemente nos dice que es una forma de Bitcoin. Él sacó, digamos, una versión de Bitcoin y cuando las personas se dieron cuenta de lo que era, empezaron a desarrollar algo distinto, pero nos dice que no es el Bitcoin como tal que desarrolló, simplemente es otra forma de moneda.